Days 5 and 6, neuroplasticity in action. By the 5th and 6th days, Elias felt like a different person. His attention span had expanded. He could sit and read for an hour without the urge to check his pockets for a device. He went to the gym. Usually, he needed high-energy music to get through a workout. Today, he focused on the feeling of his muscles moving, the rhythm of his breath. He felt the runner's high, that cocktail of dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins that comes from pushing through resistance. He realized that his brain was literally rewiring itself. This was neuroplasticity. Every time he chose the book over the screen or the walk over the scroll, he was voting for a new version of himself. He was making discipline his default setting. He wasn't white-knuckling it anymore. He didn't need massive amounts of willpower because he had changed his environment and his baseline. He had designed his life so that the satisfied version of Elias was the one in charge. Day 7, the new baseline. On the final day of his detox, Elias finished his project. It wasn't just done, it was the best work he had ever produced. He felt a deep sense of calm and confidence. He looked at the kitchen drawer where his phone was hidden. He realized he didn't actually want to turn it on. He was afraid that the noise would ruin the beautiful silence he had found. But he knew he couldn't live in a cave forever. The modern world is full of technology. The secret wasn't to avoid it forever, but to change his relationship with it. He took the phone out. He didn't open the social media apps. Instead, he deleted the ones that gave him the cheapest dopamine, the infinite scrollers, and the addictive games. He set strict boundaries. No phone for the first hour of the day. No phone in the bedroom. All notifications turned off except for real people. He realized that the strange phenomenon of his brain calculating energy investment would never stop. His ancient brain would always want the easy path, but now he knew how to talk back to it. He understood that true freedom isn't being able to do whatever you want in the moment. True freedom is having a brain that is healthy enough to choose the things that actually matter. The permanent transformation. Weeks passed, Elias stayed disciplined, but it didn't feel like a struggle. It felt like alignment. When he had to do something hard, he didn't hit the brakes. His brain now associated effort with the massive satisfaction that followed. He had flipped the switch. He had learned to crave the work. He looked back at the person he was, the person sitting in the blue light at 2:00 a.m., and felt a deep sense of empathy. That person wasn't broken. They were just lost in the noise. Elias knew the detox wasn't a one-time event. It was a practice. Every day, he had to decide which neural pathways to strengthen. Every day was a choice between empty pleasure and deep satisfaction. He chose satisfaction, and for the first time in his life, he felt truly awake. The economic principle of his brain was finally working for him, not against him. He was no longer a slave to an algorithm. He was the architect of his own mind. And as he sat down to start his next big goal, he didn't reach for his phone. He reached for his pen, smiled, and began to work. The rewiring was complete. The screen glowed in the dark room, casting a pale blue light over Elias' face. It was 2:00 a.m. He had a major project due in 3 days, a project that could change his career. But here he was, scrolling through short videos of people he didn't know, doing things he didn't care about. Inside his brain, a silent battle was happening. Every time he saw a new video, a tiny spark of electricity traveled through a cluster of neurons called the Nucleus Accumbens. This was his motivation engine. It was flooded with a chemical called dopamine. Elias felt tired, but he couldn't stop. He felt hooked. He knew he should put the phone down, but his brain was performing a lightning-fast calculation. Should I do the hard work on the project, or should I keep scrolling? The project was high effort with an uncertain reward. The scrolling was zero effort with a guaranteed hit of pleasure. To his ancient, survival-focused brain, the choice was obvious. It hit the brakes on the work and gave the green light to the phone. Elias wasn't lazy, he wasn't weak-willed, he was being hijacked. The economic principle of the mind. The next morning, Elias woke up feeling like a ghost. His head felt heavy and his thoughts were cloudy. He looked at his desk where his laptop sat waiting. The very sight of it made him feel a strange kind of physical pain. It felt boring. It felt impossible. He began to realize that his brain operated on a simple economic principle. It was always looking for the best return on energy investment. In the modern world, he was surrounded by bad deals. Teams of scientists had engineered every app on his phone to exploit his survival instincts. They had turned his dopamine system against him. He realized that dopamine wasn't actually the chemical of pleasure, it was the chemical of wanting. It didn't make him happy to scroll, it just made him want to keep scrolling. It was the anticipation chemical. Every time he anticipated a new post, a funny comment, or a like, his dopamine spiked. But because the reward was so easy to get, his brain had started to protect itself. This was the dark side of neuroscience, downregulation. Because Elias was getting too much easy dopamine, his brain had started deleting his dopamine receptors. It was like turning down the volume on a radio because the music was too loud. Now, normal things, like the satisfaction of a finished task, the beauty of a sunset, or the focus required to read a book, weren't loud enough for him to hear. He had built a tolerance to life itself. He decided then and there, he had to take his brain back. He was going to try a dopamine detox.